What is up, fellow Age Groupies? Welcome back to another episode of the Age Groupies Podcast, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Mike Ergo, and along with my co-host, Lindsay Hiken, we are here to talk to you about all things related to endurance sports from an amateur athlete's perspective. We talk about how to have fun along the way and make this sport a little less intimidating. You all can follow the show on Instagram at Age Groupies, join the Age Groupies page on Facebook, and look us up by name, Lindsay Hiken and Mike Ergo on Strava. If you have any questions, comments, or topic ideas, feel free to email us, agegroupies@gmail.com. And if you enjoy the show, guys, leave a rating and review on iTunes. It helps us to get the word out and get people involved in the show. So today's guest, this is a fun one, you guys. Today's guest is Jeremy Woodward, also known as IRONHEART Jeremy. Now, Jeremy is a heart failure survivor, Ironman finisher, 5-time Boston Marathon finisher. That's a pretty big deal if you guys didn't know. USA Triathlon Level 1 coach, UESCA Triathlon and UESCA running coach. I'm not sure exactly what that is. It's pretty badass, I'm sure. USA cycling coach, 5th degree black belt, and personal trainer. Jeremy has an incredible story, and you guys are going to enjoy this. So, Lindsay, take it away.
Okay, so I'm just going to start us off. Welcome to Age Groupies Podcast, and today's my guest is Jeremy Woodward, and actually Mike, my co-host that many of you know and love, is the one who introduced me to Jeremy, and unfortunately Mike couldn't join us, so it's just the two of us today. How are you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing great. It's been quite a wild week here. But I'm looking forward to this, and thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast. I can't wait to do this.
All right, awesome. So first of all, how do you know Mike?
So I've been following the Ironman Foundation for quite a while now, and I know Derek Fitzgerald, and there was a post that had come up months ago, and I saw something about Mike, and then just I've been following his story, and then I just like, all right, I'm gonna reach out and just kind of talk to him a little bit, tell him a little bit about my story, and then we connected, and we're
awesome.
there. Yeah, that's cool.
That's very cool. So I see that you just some of your quick stats for the listeners. We'll get to the big life event that you've had to overcome, but you are an Ironman finisher, 5-time Boston Marathon finisher. You are obviously super into personal training. You train people. Oh, you worked with professional athletes, obviously. The big thing I think that we want to talk to you about is just sort of your story about heart issues and weight and and all of that stuff. So tell us a quick little overview of kind of what is up. I see 2-time open heart surgery survivor. Is this before or after Ironman?
Those are both prior.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you heart surgery, and then you're like, you know what I think my heart needs is to do a full Ironman.
Absolutely. So first off, I gotta say the thing I'm most proud of is I am a father to 3 beautiful girls.
Oh,
and I
awesome.
have an amazing wife who supports me in every way. And honestly, I couldn't do these things without her and the support of the girls. So those are the 3-4 things that I am absolutely most proud of in my life. Outside of that, I am a 2-time open heart surgery survivor. Yeah, I was born with a congenital heart defect, and the first time around I developed bacterial endocarditis, which was an infection, and it was on a weakened part of my heart valve. I was born, instead of having the normal trileaflet on the aortic valve that helps facilitate blood flow to the body, I was only born with a bileaflet. So I'm at risk, or I was at risk, and just somehow developed an infection, got hospitalized. Given the circumstances, it was pretty routine, even though the severity of it is it's a major open heart surgery, and all the risks that are associated with it.
Right.
At the time, I was given the option of either having a tissue valve put in or a mechanical heart valve. I did not want the mechanical heart valve because at the time I was like, I'm active in sports. I didn't, I was very competitive in karate and stuff. And I was like, I don't want to have to curtail or stop any of those because I would be forced to go on blood thinners. So I opted to go with a tissue valve, and they had given me a life expectancy of the tissue valve of about 7 to 15 years or so. That's just, based on history of it.
Wow.
And my tissue valve, 7 years, literally almost to the date of the surgery, if the valve failed, I went into heart failure over a period of time.
Wow.
It was very, very tough. I put on a ton of fluid on my, on my body. I'm normally 170, 175 pounds. I think I got up to 225 at my peak, but a lot of it was fluid. Didn't know what was going on. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Wow.
I mean, I went to a couple of hospitals in the area and they didn't know what was going on. And then finally my wife just, she'd had it at the time. She's like, we're just getting in the car right now and we're driving to Boston. Thank goodness we did, because we drove down to Boston, checked into an ER down there, and they came out and told me, they're like, you're, probably within 24 to 48 hours of lights out forever.
So you didn't have actual weight gain. You had just fluid all over your body from
fluid retention. Yeah, it was, I mean, yeah, like I would put on a pair of, workout pants, sweatpants, right? And I couldn't even put them over my legs. Everything, I just had so much fluid, and it was pretty scary.
Wow.
And when you think about it too, like when you have that much fluid on your body and what it does to your organs, the first hospital I checked into up here, which they discharged me after a couple of days, which was, we think back on it now, we're like, this is crazy. But they were like, yeah, they wanted to do a procedure on me. And they're like, yeah, you're in organ failure right now, so we can't operate on you, but you're just going to go home and we're going to see where things take it,
What?
It was wild. It was so crazy.
So you're in organ failure, but we're just going to go ahead and send you on home. That's got to feel good.
Oh my goodness. And your listeners are probably like, what? This is crazy. And we look back on it now, we're like, and then, we're like, okay, the hospital like has the highest mortality rate and in the area. We're like, never again. But in all seriousness though, like I came home and I'm super stubborn. Right. And, it's just the way, I'm wired. And my wife was finally like, yeah, you're going down to Boston. You get in the car right now. And like I said, thank goodness we did, because I didn't have much time. And when I, after post-op, I found out basically how close I was to death.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't think I was going to walk out. They were like, you were that 1 in 10 that actually walks out. 9 out of 10 people that come in here typically do not walk out of here alive, because it was that grave of a situation. So pretty wild.
Wow. It's amazing to hear that, sort of the miracle of modern medicine, when you get to the right person that's not just sending you home, you're 24 hours or less or whatever away from death, and you're actually able to come all the way back to incredible health and doing endurance sports and Ironman and stuff like that. Just the idea that, there are probably other people in this world who have similar things and just didn't get to Boston in time, or whatever. How does that affect your perspective on life? That it could have just your wife could have not said that then. You guys could have taken the advice of the first hospital, like wait and see. You could, there's a million ways that it could have gone that wouldn't have been really, it would have seemed reasonable for you to follow these other people's advice. Like, okay, I guess I'll go home, or, how does that kind of change your perspective on life in general?
Well, even after my first heart surgery, I, definitely developed a new perspective on life. And then this happening, it's like, oh my goodness, I've got, a third chance at life now. So I'm going to live it. And I made a promise that second time when I was in the hospital. I had a friend of mine bring in a triathlon magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually think it was Triathlete, I believe. I've got the magazine somewhere stored away. I can look up. But I remember reading about the Ironman, and I was like, I am going to do this. So I made it a point after my surgery. I was in the hospital for 4 weeks prior to surgery, and then almost 2 weeks post-op. But it's like the next day, right after I had my surgery, the second time, I said, okay, I'm going to do an Ironman. It starts today. And it started with a lap around the ICU. And then the second day, it was 2 laps, and then 3 laps. And then I was discharged out of the ICU, I think, within 72 hours. So that third, fourth day, I was still, continuing to do laps. And I was like, okay, this is going to lead me to an Ironman someday if I get the clearance. And fortunately, I found an incredible team when I came back up here to New Hampshire. And my cardiologist was like, yeah, I 100% support it as long as there's no structural changes in the heart or any issues. Let's go for it. So 3 years almost to the date of my surgery, my second surgery, I got to cross the finish line of an Ironman, and I've really just embraced. It's all like I think about it now and I still get chills, and it was an incredible experience. And it's an experience I think everybody in their lifetime, everybody in their life should go through it once, in their lifetime, because what you learn about yourself is just, it's
You're
amazing.
talking Ironman, not heart surgery.
Ironman, yes.
Okay. I was like,
I mean, you learn a lot about yourself during heart surgery, but
it's an extreme way to go to get some self-knowledge. So which Ironman was it? And tell me a little bit about that race, just from the perspective of like a triathlete. Like, what was the race like for you? How was your performance? That kind of stuff.
So it was Ironman Lake Placid. If you like hills, then you definitely will get your fix on the hills, because I'm not so much of a hill person on the bike. But I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to do one that will make, that's going to be very impactful for me, and just the whole history and around Iron Lake Placid and the whole Miracle on Ice, with the men's ice hockey, USA hockey team. I was like, that's the one I want to do, and I trained for it. I also, around that time too, they were offering a fundraising opportunity, and it wasn't through the Ironman Foundation, but it was through another opportunity, and I raised money for an organization here in New Hampshire. So that also brought a lot of sense of purpose and meaning to this race, and it was just it was an incredible experience. I didn't have any expectations on me of I want to place in my age group. I just wanted to get to the start line, because I knew how much it took to get to the start line, but more importantly, I wanted to cross that finish line. And I think I did it in like 15 and a half hours or something. And I loved it. And I enjoyed every second of that race.
Awesome. Yep. That was my experience doing it last year. Just obviously not coming back from heart surgery, but just having a knee injury that came up during training that never went away. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to go fast, but just like you said, just doing it was friggin' amazing.
Absolutely.
I had so much fun out there. I had so much fun, right? You're just like, we are out here. This is unbelievable that we can do this.
Totally. And then you think too, you're like, okay, I am doing this with 2,500 other athletes that all have an amazing story. And I was trying to talk to as many people as I possibly could, because I was like, I want to know about this person. Tell me about this person. And I met an individual when we were running. His name was Bill, and he and I ran in the last 12, 13 miles together, and we just had such great conversation. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. I just loved it, and I hope to go back at some point, and we'll see what happens. So
same. Yeah, I want to go back too, but I need a little bit. I've got other things going on in my life. I mean, it is true. The training is a lot. So right now I'm like, oh my gosh. So, okay. What year was that? 20?
That was in 2010.
10. Okay. Wow. Okay. And I see that on your bio, you've done a lot of different things. tell me about the comeback award recipient for Peloton bikes.
Yeah, so it was around this time last year. A friend of ours, a very dear friend of ours, she had apparently, her and her husband had reached out to Peloton because Peloton was offering some comeback program, and they were awarding, I think at the time, although now I believe they've exceeded it, 100. They were offering 100 bikes to people that have comeback stories. And they submitted my story, and then I get an email, and it was pretty funny too, because my wife and I were sitting out to lunch with the kids, and I get this email from Peloton, and I almost deleted it because you just get so much stuff, and I didn't.
Yeah, you're
I
like,
almost deleted. Yeah, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, dear Jeremy, congratulations, and I started reading, and I was selected as one of the comeback recipients, and it's amazing. They they provide you with a bike, and they provide you with 3 years of service.
Holy cow.
I know. And I have become obsessed with the bike. Like, it's, I had a 17-week streak going, I think, of doing classes. And the last 2 weeks for us have been insane. And somehow last week I didn't hop on the bike, and I realized my streak ended. I said to my wife, I was like, my streak ended. I was like, this is crazy. And so I'm actually, when we get off the pod today, I'm going to hop on and get a ride tonight. But I absolutely love it. And it's just, it's a pretty cool thing.
That's awesome that they do that. I did not know that they do that. They were given a lot of crap for their ad that they had out there over the holidays or whatever. I guess people were going crazy on Twitter about some ad. I mean, I saw the ad. It didn't freak me out, but I like to do a lot of sports. So I guess, to me, it was like, yeah, she's riding every day. And you know what I mean? That's fine. But you don't hear about this kind of stuff. This is amazing that they did this for people who have a good comeback story. And and I know, I have to say, I live in Northern California, and where we can ride and run and swim outside year round.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I've never thought, oh, I want a Peloton bike. Cause there's spin class. Sometimes I'll go to if it's raining, but I can kind of I pretty much just ride outside. There might be like a rainy day or something where we don't want to, but it's never really that cold. But my mother and stepfather, they don't live there now because my stepfather passed away and my mom moved closer to family, but they lived in Andover, New Hampshire, which is close to Concord.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes away.
Yeah, they lived right there. They lived on Chase Hill. They built a beautiful home out there. I mean, it was gorgeous. But after my stepfather passed, it was like my mom had like acreage. And so she's like, I can't do this by myself. And I mean, we were all obviously adults, like out of the house. So so I went after they built the house, I went there for Christmas. The whole family was out there. We were out in New Hampshire. And I said, like I said, I grew up in Southern California, and now I live in Northern California. So if I go to Tahoe in the winter, fine, but I don't do snow all the time, right? Really? I brought my quote unquote winter running clothes to go running. I was in Andover, and so my mom I had this long sweeping driveway down, and I said, oh, I'm going to go for a run. I put on my little Nike, running, tights and whatever. And I had a little beanie on and whatever, just not enough. Right. And it was so cold. And so I go running down the driveway. I got to the end of the driveway. I was like, I can't feel my feet, my face, my hand, nothing, So I turned around and I'm running up, and my mom cranks the window open. She's like, I've got a treadmill in the barn. And I'm like, okay, to the barn I go. And I was just thinking, how would you train, because I'm so used to just training outside, and I guess the answer is you do treadmill and spin bike and probably get used to the winter. So how do you kind of keep fitness all winter long?
Couple different ways. So this year, having the Peloton bike, I'm able to ride the Peloton, and I do have to say, they were amazing. The whole staff, everybody with Peloton, with winning this, they have been just phenomenal. So I just,
awesome.
High five to them. Totally. We, riding the Peloton now, outdoor running, I'm, the last 6 years I have run for Teddy's team, and with running for Teddy's team, our main race that we do is the Boston Marathon. And so we train, all the way through from the mid-December all the way up through April until race day. So that's our motivation to get outside and run, whether it is sub-zero or whether it is, 60, 70 degrees, whatever it is. Like, we are out there in all elements. And you just get used to it. And
do you put some sort of spike or something in your shoe? Because that was my other thing, is that I was like kind of slipping and sliding, like as I was going down her driveway, and I was like, I'm going to kill myself trying to run. So how do you keep your feet underneath you if it's like snowy and icy?
Yeah. Most of the time I can hit the pavement and be okay. There have been a few occasions where we, throw the spikes on, and if we do any, trail running, we'll throw them on as well. And,
awesome.
We go all hours. I mean, I've gone out, 3-4 o'clock in the morning whenever we can get it all in.
Yeah.
So it's good. We're really, really lucky to be where we are, because this community of runners, and it is a super, super fit and fun community in that respect. In the summertime, everybody's out biking and swimming and running. And the wintertime, people very much embrace it. So it's a pretty neat community in many respects. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's a lovely area for sure. So did I just hear that Boston's actually moved now because of the coronavirus to like the fall? Is that right?
Yes. So we just got word this morning that it has been moved and postponed for the first time in the history of the Boston Marathon, 124 years. It's being moved to September 14th, it's also a Monday. And they're working out all the logistics and everything associated with it. But all of us on the team, there's like 48 of us, I believe, on Teddy's team this year that are running. We're like, all right, we are about to all make history, and we're about to be part of history. This has never happened. Awesome. And it's pretty neat. And we're like, hey, we get another 5 months of training with each other too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, bring that time down. And also, what is the weather pretty significantly different between April and September? Or are they pretty close to the same?
It's going to be very interesting, because I've run Boston 5 times so far. This is going to be my 6th year. I ran 1 year where it was very warm. Couple of the years we've run, it has been cold and rainy. 2018, when we ran, was some of the worst running conditions I think I've ever run in my life. I mean, we had 30, 40 mile per hour winds in our face all the way from Hopkinton to Boston, and it downpoured. It was crazy.
I heard about that.
And it was cold. I mean, I pulled out of my driveway that morning, and it was snowing here in Concord. Yeah, it was wild. But September, it's going to be a little bit warmer. I mean, I'm thinking September 14th, we're going to be running, because we don't start until 11:45-ish. It's going to be 70, 80 degrees potentially.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. That'll be nice. I mean, it could potentially be good. I mean, at least you won't have a downpour, probably.
Hopefully not, but if it does, it'll cool us off. So
yeah. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I also, I know that you have a book coming out. Or is it out already?
No, we are currently working on it. We are 1 chapter away from having it 100% complete. We've been working on this now for like 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
I have a dear friend of mine who's been assisting me with putting this together. And
what's it about?
So yeah, it just talks a lot about my heart surgery. It goes in pretty deep into what transpired during that period of time, certain things that have gone on post-surgery, things that we've been things that I've done and accomplished. And, it talks a lot about the girls and my family and everything. So I'm really excited to get this out. And, my goal with it is, if it inspires one person to get out and moving and doing something that they wouldn't probably ever do in their life, then to me, it'll be a success.
So I know that you work as a trainer with a lot of, elite athletes and some people of influence, political influence and things like that. Do you have any focus at all on people who are, maybe need to bring the weight down or anything to help with heart disease? Do you do any work in that regard?
I do. In fact, some of my most inspiring clients that I have currently are clients. I've got one individual, and I'm sure he won't mind me using his name. His name's Tony. He's 3 years now post aortic valve replacement surgery. And he is somebody who, comes in, he works his butt off in the gym. He's actually the fastest person in my facility to ever reach 1,000 visits. And so
wow.
1,000 class visits. And he's done this. He's actually now up to like 1,150, I think, or something. But he's done this all post heart surgery, and his life is totally changed. And that's a majority of my clientele. And yes, I have had the opportunity to work with a few other, individuals of influence, but all my clients are amazing. Everyone from, it's just my clients. I'm very fortunate to have the client base that I have currently. So it's an awesome experience.
Do you, what would you say is like the hardest, most challenging part of training someone who's maybe not a self-motivated endurance athlete focused, athlete, but just someone who's like, I'm having heart issues and my doctor told me I need to lose weight, or I need to, I know that I need to do it, but I hate it. Like what is the most challenging part, to, maybe helping them motivate or see the benefits of fitness, and in light of the fact that you're someone who can say, although your heart thing was a result of weight gain, you can definitely, put that out there as something that where a healthy lifestyle is going to be beneficial for somebody in terms of, what you've gone through.
I would say the hardest thing is just getting them in the door and believing in themselves that they can do it. Because a lot of times, like, I've had individuals who have reached out to me and are like, oh, I want to do this, but I can't because of this or because of that. I've been told that I've got, I've got this issue wrong. And like, from me, I hate to use my example of what I went through, but I'm able to hopefully inspire them to keep moving and to get in there. That's typically the hardest thing, just to get them to believe in themselves that they can do it.
Yes, I agree. I'm just an average, like, middle-aged lady who likes to do endurance sports. You know what I mean? I don't have any particular skill. Other than I'm passionate about it. And I've had so many women say like, oh, that's amazing. I wish I could do that. And I'm like, oh, you can. Like anybody could. You know what I mean? I've started saying, they're like, no, I never could. I'm like, no, you could. You could do an Ironman. The thing is, you have to want to, because it requires a commitment. It doesn't require athletic talent. It just requires a drive to do it. And I think that I feel like a lot of people don't realize that about physical activity. Like anyone could do it. You know what I mean? If they want to. It's just about whether do you want to lay down the excuses of reasons why you can't, or do you want to just put those aside and go for it?
I 100% agree. And I can tell you, if I never had my heart surgery and I never went through all of that, I don't know if we'd be on the pod today talking about doing an Ironman, because I don't know if I ever would, because I made it my mission after I did have heart surgery, and there was a magazine in there in front of me that was, talking about the Ironman, and I became obsessed with it. I was like, I want to finish one.
Right.
And so yeah, it's getting people to believe in themselves that they can do it. You can do it, and you're willing to put the time in, then you can make it happen.
Yeah, and what you said is true. Like, so for my co-host Mike and I, we didn't overcome a major heart issue, but both of us have overcome addiction issues, alcoholism issues, and Mike also PTSD from his tours in Afghanistan or Iraq. And I do think there is some benefit to having the perspective of a second chance in terms of being willing to go through the suffering or discipline that's needed to do an event like Ironman. I mean, you don't have to have almost died from, you don't have to have almost drank yourself to death or have heart surgery to do it. But there is a benefit, because I think, like, for me, I can just tap into that. Like, my life today is a gift. So I want to make the most of it, as opposed to like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? I've got XYZ thing. It's like, no, I can fit it all in, because I know how valuable life is at this point.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Lindsay. I think it becomes a driving force, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this happened for a reason, and this is
Mm-hmm.
a gift. It's a gift, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna make good with this and do what I can.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm still here for a reason.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for part of that reason is to just, live life to its fullest and inspire others to do the same in a healthy way. And for me, that my vehicle is, endurance sports basically in this podcast, but, and it sounds like yours is similar, fitness and training and writing your book. And, but we're so lucky, aren't we? Because there's a lot of
We
people who
are.
don't have any passion about anything, or they probably do. They just don't know what it is. And they don't, you know what I mean? They don't. And I feel for those people. I wish they'd listen to this podcast and get off the couch, but who knows?
Absolutely. No, you're right. And those are the people you do want to tap into and just
Mm-hmm.
say, look, here's your chance. You can do this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's do this together. What do you need? Right. It's pretty,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. Well, anything else you want to talk about before we kind of start wrapping up?
Yeah. So one of the, like, when I was, in the hospital, almost 12 years ago now. And I had made this promise, like, okay, I want to have a community impact. And I was really fortunate 6 years ago to have a friend of mine urge me, to kind of push me along to apply for Teddy's team. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Teddy's team.
No, tell me about it.
All right. So it was started by former New England Patriot Teddy Bruschi after he had a stroke. And he made it he's made it his mission to raise awareness for stroke and heart disease, stroke awareness and heart disease. And so I, got lucky and was selected for the team 6 years ago and have been running for them since. And each year, we've got this amazing family of runners and this team. And, I think we're out there doing some pretty amazing things. We have people on the team that have been part of it for 10, 11 years. And just the mission right now, it's pretty special. And given to everything that has transpired in the last week or so with the coronavirus and how much of an impact it's having on everybody, including all of us runners. And, it's shifting races and changing races, canceling and this and that. And now, all of us were like, okay, we get to be a part of history and doing this. And still be able to continue to raise awareness for, stroke and heart disease, which is obviously very near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely. Wow. That's awesome. And I like that you have such a good attitude about it. I think for me in this time right now with everything that's going on, like it's very important for me to focus on the positivity around and the good around, as opposed to like the fear and the, like it's all going to hell and we gotta, you know what I mean? I need a doomsday prep and we're all gonna die. And I'm like, okay, it is a thing that's a serious thing, and yes, my race that was supposed to be tomorrow, my trail half marathon, got canceled, but I'll live. Right. And, and just kind of trying to like reframe it as an athlete in a different way is going to be helpful, I think, to all of us, because I know, the season started, all of us have our races planned out, and we all had, what we're going to do and this and that, and I've got to do, and it's like, it could be very easy to become disappointed and like demotivated by like, well, they're just canceling everything, so F it, I don't want to do, you could feel that way, or you could feel sort of on by the fact that you've paid money and you can't, but I think the thing to keep in mind is that doing our sport, keeps us fit and healthy, which gives us a better shot at having a mild version of this if we do get it. And then the other thing is just that, like, shit happens. Like, my race got canceled. No, they're not giving a refund. That is a bummer. But it doesn't change anything about me. I still love trail running. I'm still going to go to another, like, whatever. And like you guys said, like, you're going to be part of history. That there is a kind of a cool element of it. It's just, they've never done this race other than in April. And now they're going to do it in the fall, which is like a big jump in time. And, you guys have another 5 months to try. I mean, there's all kinds of cool things about it, and framing it that way instead of like, oh my gosh, we were ramped up. I mean, it's in April. I was just getting ready to, I'm peaking out. I was going to be, and now I got to suspend that for 5 more. I mean, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's not the important thing, right? The important thing is that we're out there enjoying it, and we'll be back, and all the races will be back, and
yep,
eventually.
Exactly. I think we are all going to come back from this stronger than ever. I think, both, from a community and just us, learning a lot from this whole experience, and it's giving us an opportunity to really figure out who we are and what we are and what we stand for. And,
yeah, exactly.
So I think it's going to be, it's going to be an interesting next few weeks, I think. But like I said, we're all going to get through this, and we're all going to have we're going to have the best year of our life, in terms of races and training, because we're also going to appreciate it that much more.
Absolutely. I mean, that is true. My friend Heidi, who's been on the podcast before, texted me and she's training for a huge event, in an ultra distance event. Well, I guess the distance isn't much longer than an Ironman, but it's just in the Austrian Alps, and it's this huge, it's considered an ultra event just because of the 12,000 feet of climbing on the bike, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
And so she's training for that, and so she's doing a lot of solo training, which is fine because she's social, quote unquote, social distancing for the corona. But she said she's having her own personal coronathon right now, just going out and doing her rides and her runs alone, and it's like, whatever. I'm like, that's a good way of putting it. Just go have your own coronathon or whatever, and it'll be fine. Plus her flights to Austria are going to be cheaper now. So.
Right, exactly. There's a lot of silver linings that are going to come out of this. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, Mike, my co-host, he's going on vacation. That's one of the reasons he's not able to be here today. And he texted me about, we're getting ready to head up for vacation, blah, blah, blah. And I said, where are you going? And he's like, well, it was Disneyland till that was closed. And then we bought $5 tickets to Maui. So we're going to Hawaii.
Awesome.
So whatever. I mean, but that's the way to, look at it. It's like, well, Maui's not closed. Let's head over there and just, keep it rolling. So
exactly.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and talking about your why and everything for training and racing. And if you'd like to, we could put some links and things to information about you in the show notes, and so that people can kind of follow you and make sure that we all get notified when your book comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach me on Instagram, IRONHEART Jeremy, on Twitter, IRONHEART Jeremy, on my Facebook page, IRONHEART Jeremy as well. And my website is www.ironheartjeremy.com.
All right. That's the only thing we need to remember. IRONHEART Jeremy.
That's awesome. It right there.
Well, have a wonderful weekend, and, enjoy your girls, stay healthy, and we will see you hopefully someday at a race.
Absolutely. I can't wait. And if you're ever up here in New Hampshire, please hit me up, and love to go out and we can show you some of, our running trails and our running community around here. Oh,
sweet. My step siblings all live in Hanover, so I'll let you know next time I'm coming over to visit them.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing up there. Yes, please.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you, Lindsay. Take care.
Alrighty, that concludes today's episode of the Age Groupies Podcast with me, Lindsay Hiken, and my co-host, Mike Ergo. We really hope you enjoyed it. You can follow the show on Instagram at Age Groupies, join our Age Groupies page on Facebook, and look us up by name, Lindsay Hiken and Mike Ergo on Strava. If you have questions, comments, or topic ideas, feel free to email us at agegroupies@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, as this really helps us get more exposure while we try to grow this little venture. And of course, if you have friends you think might like the show, please be sure to share it with them. But for now, thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next week.